a critical topic. Is it really gas? We're talking about how to tell the difference between foodborne illnesses and gastroenteritis. These are both conditions that can often feel very similar, but are in fact quite different. But here's the twist. While Jamaican culture of overcooking food might actually save us from certain outbreaks, the reality is that foodborne illnesses are still a major public health issue. From missing surveillance systems to common misconceptions, these illnesses often go misdiagnosed. So, is that food poisoning you're dealing with, or is it just some old gas? We're going to find out today. Now, today's a pretty exciting day for me because not only is tomorrow my birthday, but we're going to be having Dr. Jacqueline Campbell, a family physician and pharmacologist, and the host of a medical radio show, Powering Your Health, that's going to be joining us later today. And of course, she's going to be coming with a wealth of information on how to tell these two conditions apart. I'd also love for you to stick around because it's my birthday. I'm going to be giving away something today. So we have two special giveaways at the end of today's show lined up just for you, my loyal listeners who've been rocking it with us over the past few weeks. And it's, our little way of saying thank you and thanks for staying food safe and, of course, supporting the mission. So if you've been tuning in and taking your notes, now is your time to shine and maybe win something sweet. The title of today's show is It Really Gas? Or the Meal That Bit Back? Is it really gas? Or is it really something that you eat that, has taken revenge on you eating it? Now remember to send any questions you may have to our WhatsApp line 876-280-6629. And of course, any questions you have, we'll try to get those answers out to you. And if you're not able, run right over to our YouTube live stream at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. That's where all the fun is. And I promise you, that's where our questions are going to be, our answers, our successful winners are going to be chosen from. Now, as usual, I have a little soft intro for us today, and I have a video I want you to take a look at. Now, looking at this video, I have two questions for you. Have you ever blamed gas for stomach trouble when it might have actually been a sign of something more serious like foodborne illnesses or gastroenteritis? And after watching this video, did anything surprise you about the information shared? We're going to head to that video right now. We're going to go again. Oh. No. So that video really was a video of a medical doctor for our listeners who were not able to tune into our live YouTube stream. Is a doctor differentiating, giving some symptoms or some varying symptoms to tell the difference between gastroenteritis, sometimes called the stomach flu, or a foodborne illness. I think that was a pretty insightful video and could help us to differentiate the aspects of either conditions somewhat. Now, what would a food safety show be without food safety news? So this week's first food safety shocker comes from Madrid, where what was advertised as roast duck at a local Chinese restaurant turned out to be street pigeons. Yep. Actual pigeons plucked from the sidewalks and served up with pancakes and hoisin sauce. Police raided Jinju, a popular spot in the Usera district, and what they found would make Gordon Ramsay faint. Cooked pigeons, meat hanging from clothes, horses, broken freezers, and wait for it, illegal sea cucumbers. Add in some cockroaches, rusted cookware, and no working thermometers, and you've got a full-blown public health nightmare. The restaurant has been shut down, and the owners face charges ranging from animal cruelty to consumer fraud. And the kicker is that Jinju still had a 4.2 star rating online. One review actually said the duck was a bit dry with lots of bones. Yeah, I think that might have been the feathers. So what is the moral of this story? Always know what's on your plate. And of course, this is what the Food Safety Girl is all about, trying to help you make that decision and judgment call. Our second news item, and just when you thought eating on land was risky enough, let's take things offshore for food safety fail number 2. On board the luxury cruise liner Queen Mary 2, more than 240 people have fallen victim to a nasty norovirus outbreak. The CDC confirmed 224 passengers and 17 crew members reported symptoms including vomiting and diarrhea after the virus broke out mid-voyage. The ship departed from Southampton on March 8 and is expected to dock April 6. But for many on board, that vacation mood took a nosedive around March 18 when the outbreak first surfaced. In response, Cunard Line went into containment mode, isolating the sick, deep cleaning everything in sight, and sending stool samples off for testing. Norovirus is one of the most contagious bugs out there. It spreads fast through contaminated food, water, and surfaces. And this isn't an isolated case. The CDC's vessel sanitation program has already recorded 12 cruise ship outbreaks this year, 10 of them linked to norovirus. Earlier this year, one ship dealt with an E. coli outbreak, while another saw 28 crew members sickened by ciguatera fish poisoning. This is a reminder that whether you're dining dockside or on the open sea, food safety doesn't take a vacation, and neither do we. Back on the island now, with a critical alert for parents and caregivers. Fruselva USA is recalling over 25,000 units of Good and Gather baby pea, zucchini, kale and thyme vegetable puree. We have a photo of that product on our YouTube live stream. And this recall came after elevated lead levels were detected in the product. The baby food sold nationwide at Target stores and distributed by Target Corporation in Minneapolis was recalled on March 12, and the process is still ongoing. It's been classified as a Class 2 recall, meaning it poses a relatively low risk of serious health consequences, but could still lead to temporary or reversible health issues. Here's what to look for. It's the 4-ounce, 113 grams puree with UPC 1919079934141. The affected lot numbers are 4169 with a best buy date of December 9, 2025 and 4167 with a best buy of December 7, 2025. While the risk may be classified as low, lead exposures in baby is no joke. Even small amounts can impact brain development, lower IQ, and cause learning delays. So if you've got one of these pouches at home, check the lot numbers, check the dates, and don't take any chances. Of course, you can find the full recall and return instructions on the FDA's website. Our fourth news item is if you've been grabbing quick breakfast on the go, listen up, this one is for you because nearly 500,000 breakfast sandwiches are being pulled from shelves due to a dangerous labeling issue. Heartside Food Solutions is recalling about 489,887 pounds of ready-to-eat Letiera sausage and bacon French toast breakfast sandwiches because they contain sesame, but the label doesn't say so. And we have photos of those two products on our live stream. That's a big problem for anyone with a sesame allergy, as reactions can range from mild to life-threatening, including anaphylaxis. Here's the batch that is affected. It's the 8.35-ounce sausage, egg, and cheese French toast sandwich and the 7.3-ounce bacon, egg, and cheese French toast sandwich. And as I said before, these photos are on. You can head on over to our YouTube live and grab a quick snap of this photo. Both of them were produced between April 1, 2023 and March 25, 2025 and can be identified by lot codes starting with 23, 24, or 25 up to 2508451. These were distributed to Army and Air Force Exchange Services locations nationwide, so military families, check your freezers. The sandwiches carry establishment number EST V4907 inside the USDA mark inspection. So far, no allergic reactions have been reported, but the risk is real. If you have one of these products and a sesame allergy or are feeding someone who does, do not eat it. Throw it out and return it for a refund. And if symptoms show up after consumption, seek medical help immediately. Our fifth news item for today is that Fresh Creative Foods are recalling certain bottles of Trader Joe's hot honey mustard dressing after a labeling mix-up left out a crucial detail. We have photo on screen. It contains peanuts, soy, sesame, and wheat, all major allergens, none of which were listed on the label. This is a serious risk for persons with food allergies or sensitivities, and in the worst cases, exposure can trigger life-threatening reactions. The recalled dressing has a use-by date of May 27, 2025, and was shipped to Trader Joe's locations across several states, including Arkansas, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, and Texas, just to name a few. While the bottle size wasn't specified, this is the only product and date currently affected. So far, no illnesses or allergic reactions have been reported, but the warning stands. If you're allergic to any of those ingredients, do not eat it. Return it to Trader Joe's for a full refund or toss it out safely. And if you've already used it and feel any symptoms like hives, swelling, or trouble breathing, seek medical attention right away. Our last news item for today is that if you're a cookie lover, you might want to check your pantry because Kraft Mark Bakery is recalling over 6,500 cases of cookie dough and ready-to-eat cookies due to potential plastic contamination. The affected products include oatmeal raisin cookie dough, oatmeal cranberry raisin cookie dough, and US Foods Premium Monster cookies. These were distributed across California, Illinois, Maryland, and even in Canada. The recall was initiated on March 27, 2025, and it's classified as a Class 2 recall, meaning the risk of serious health effects is low, but temporary or reversible effects like choking or stomach discomfort could still occur. The code oatmeal raisin cookie dough is 5000108, oatmeal cranberry raisin cookie dough 5000642, US Foods Premium Monster Cookies UPC 7673761034115. Consumers and businesses are being urged not to eat, sell, or distribute the affected products. If you've already had some and felt any discomfort or worse, choking, seek medical attention immediately. Remember, it's always best to double check what's in your dough before you indulge. And remember, sometimes the risk isn't just about what's in your food, but what shouldn't be in there at all. We're going to go for a quick break. Stay tuned to the Big Bite Food Safety Show.
Is your business tax compliant? At Dodge & Global, we take the stress out of tax planning, ensuring you maximize deductions and minimize liabilities. From corporate tax to VAT compliance, we've got you covered. Call 876-929-3670 or 876-926-5210. Email us at info@dodgen.global. Visit us at dodgen.global. Dodge & Global, your tax experts.
Tune in to the Consumer Hour and ClickViews Online on April 23 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast the official opening of the Parnassus Agri-Park in Clarendon. Exciting things are growing at the Parnassus Agri-Park. Now opening in phases, this 700-acre hub of opportunity is transforming former sugarcane lands into a thriving center for diversified agriculture, with 3 brand new wells delivering over 9.6 million gallons of water daily and over 1.5 billion already invested in infrastructure, including roads, pipelines, pumps, and more. The park is fully geared to support small farmers. So tune in to the Consumer Hour and ClickViews Online on April 23 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the official opening of the Parnassus Agri-Park in Clarendon. Catch the live stream on Nationwide 90 FM's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Tune in to ClickViews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. Beats and Brands Live is the ultimate celebration of music, creativity, and innovation. This exciting event is part of Intellectual Property Week and brings together the vibrant worlds of business and entertainment under the theme IP and Music, Feel the Beat. Expect a mini expo, live concert, giveaways, and the official opening ceremony, all for free. Vibe with artists, entrepreneurs, and industry insiders powered by Jaipo in partnership with Jaria and other creative powerhouses. Don't miss this fusion of culture, creativity, and commerce. It's where beats meet brands. So tune in to ClickViews Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office.
Welcome back to the Big Bite Food Safety Show. My name is Alison Richard, your food safety girl and host. And today's topic is it really gas or is it the meal that bit back? Today in studio with me is the esteemed Dr. Jacqueline Campbell, medical practitioner, and she comes with a wealth of information. How many years have you been practicing, Dr. Jackie? I think I know the answer, but I just wanted to tell them.
Well, I graduated from you in 1988, so that's I've been around quite a while.
With giving away my age, that is before I was born.
Yes,
so
I have no doubt.
She has been around. She is the person to talk to about these two conditions and how they often, are mistaken. And before we get into or dive into this a bit further, just to get a little context on foodborne illnesses and gastroenteritis, you see, they both have common symptoms, things like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal pain. Sounds pretty similar, right? But while gastroenteritis is usually caused by a viral infection, often referred to as a stomach flu, foodborne illnesses are typically caused by harmful bacteria or parasites in contaminated food. Now, jumping into this discussion with Dr. Jackie, can you share a bit about what either of these two are? Foodborne illnesses, what can we look out for as consumers, and what are the common culprits as it relates to our microorganisms?
Well, what can we look out for in terms of symptoms?
Yes.
So in terms of, there are commonalities in terms of symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So looking out for nausea, vomiting, abdominal pain,
Mm-hmm.
fever, some amount of joint pain sometimes,
Yeah.
will occur. But I should point out that with foodborne illnesses, and food poisoning is a type of foodborne illness. What you could look out for would be a sort of abrupt onset. So it comes on quite suddenly.
Yeah.
And you know it's severe when you begin to vomit blood. Yes, that is pretty severe. Or you have bloody stools, or the abdominal pains that you would have would not be what I would call your normal abdominal pains. It would be like severe cramping.
Yes.
You know, you could have a fever. You know, you say, but this is a quite an abnormally elevated fever. So things like that. Some persons actually go into shock, meaning that the blood pressure will fall drastically, and they end up in hospital. And some types of food poisoning as such can be fatal. It's rare.
Yeah.
With botulism, it can.
So I know we're gonna get to that discussion
yes.
eventually, but I wanted to mention overcooking in our culture is such a I think it's frowned upon somewhat, but I think it's a lifesaver. And I think as a food safety professional and having just done I was in the regulatory field for such a long time, and it baffles me sometimes how we don't hear about outbreaks in Jamaica because people really do not care about food safety. So I think overcooking is a major component of why we've been blessed to not have these major outbreaks.
Overcooking or cooking to well done.
That is it.
That is it.
So my question to you, Dr. Jackie, in your practice in Jamaica, how often are these conditions, and what are some of the most frequent causes that you see, throughout your time?
Well, in Jamaica, what we will see would be crops of gastroenteritis occurring. So you may find that sometimes the Ministry of Health and Wellness will just put out an alert that you have an increase in cases in a particular area. Have to be mindful, and we have the particular supportive measures and also preventive measures. So we look out for these crops occurring. And in terms of my practice, what I will see cases of gastroenteritis just cropping up now and again. And if there's, say, an outbreak, we will see accordingly an increase in the numbers. I don't see in my practice many cases of food poisoning. The last I had was actually someone who had symptoms of poisoning as a result of consumption of fish.
Wow.
Yes. So that was not nice at all. For
I can imagine. Yes.
Yeah, poor lady.
And I wanted to point out, because I think a key difference in the two is the gastro or the stomach flu that we tend to talk about is the one that we would get from viruses, versus a foodborne illness is something you'd get from a bacteria, versus like a salmonella. Even though you have an exception, there's a norovirus, which is considered a virus. However, we have the salmonella, the Campylobacter, the E. coli,
Listeria, all of those.
Yes.
But the thing, though, is that when we look at the gastroenteritis, granted that the commonest agents to cause the gastroenteritis would be viruses. So you look at rotavirus, you look at norovirus, adenovirus, all of those viruses. You can have causes due to bacteria too, and parasites.
Yeah.
I used to see years ago in my practice Giardia.
Yes.
You're not seeing it so much now, but you would see parasitic causes of gastroenteritis. So we can't forget that, although we'll be seeing more like viruses now. But the foodborne illnesses, though, the cause of these foodborne illnesses would be due to food that is consumed. And, the food can be contaminated. Food, meat, beverage, undercooked eggs, or people love to eat raw eggs.
I'm guilty. Not raw, but I love my eggs runny.
Oh, good Lord. I don't eat eggs.
Yes, I love myself a nice runny egg. So
No.
But as the food
that will
safety
not be
girl,
my problem.
I am aware that I have to make sure that it's hot. It can't be cold runny eggs. It has to get to that temperature before I partake. But I prefer runny egg.
Oh, I do not even like to see eggs. But moving right along, moving right along.
All right.
There.
So my next question to you: are there certain foods or food handling habits in Jamaican households or street food culture that makes us more susceptible to these issues? I know we spoke about the overcooking, but outside of overcooking, which is probably our only saving grace, what are some things that persons have been doing that can, lead to become susceptible, to these two conditions or either?
I would say first and foremost, what I have noticed is inadequate facilities for washing hands. I mean, that is the number one thing, inadequate. And I should point out here that people may say, you can just use a hand sanitizer or so. Yeah, but there are some of the viruses that are not so amenable to the use of hand sanitizer. So you'll find that, so to get back to the question, inadequate facilities to wash hands and, of course, use the bathroom. Yeah. That is one thing. The next thing that I have noticed is the handling of money.
Oh, Lord.
And also the sharing out of food. Yep. So somebody say, hey, go to your jerk chicken. I'm just using jerk chicken. I'm not against jerk chicken. I eat jerk chicken, right?
Let's just get that out there.
Yeah, get that out of the way. I'm not. So you'll see the jerk chicken person sharing out the jerk chicken and so on. And at the same time, handling
money.
And the money, man, and the different money and so on.
Yeah.
And the next thing that I have noticed is that, let us look on, I go again to the jerk. Sometimes you see people with, let us say, raw chicken on one side, and you have the cooked on the other side, and they're using the same tongues. The same tongues, and I'm thinking, good Lord, but
I think that may be a case of just not knowing, and I think, sometimes you do some things without thought, and you're like, until somebody really says it to you, you're like, oh, I never think. But as I say, as a food safety person, that is something when I go out, I'm always paying attention to. And back to the money and the handling of food, I've gotten into, not a physical tussle, but my approach is always as a consumer. So whether or not, I'm representing a regulatory agency, I'm always a consumer. So I'm like, like a poor thing. Hey, miss, some people will, take the correction, but then you have some of them who them wrong and strong. They're not trying to hear. And then that is when I have to back out the idea and say, listen, you need to get yourself together. I answer the manager, because at this point, that interaction for me is useless. It means that it's a management issue, and the management needs to step up and to step into this thing. So stick up in. We're going to go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be continuing the discussion on, is it really gas or the meal that bit back on the Big Bite Food Safety Show.
Tune in to the Consumer Hour and ClickViews Online on April 23 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast the official opening of the Parnassus Agri-Park in Clarendon. Exciting things are growing at the Parnassus Agri-Park. Now opening in phases, this 700-acre hub of opportunity is transforming former sugarcane lands into a thriving center for diversified agriculture, with 3 brand new wells delivering over 9.6 million gallons of water daily and over 1.5 billion already invested in infrastructure, including roads, pipelines, pumps, and more. The park is fully geared to support small farmers. So tune in to the Consumer Hour and ClickViews Online on April 23 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the official opening of the Parnassus Agri-Park in Clarendon. Catch the live stream on Nationwide 90 FM's YouTube channel at Nationwide 90 FM Live 2. All this and more, only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture.
Welcome back to the Big Bite Food Safety Show. My name is Alison Richards, your food safety girl and host. And today I'm in studio with Dr. Jacqueline Campbell, a medical physician, and she's here. We're discussing, before the break, we were talking about food handling habits and how these poor handling habits can attribute to foodborne illnesses, or in some cases, may lead to the contracting rather gastroenteritis. Now, we live in a tropical country, Dr. Jackie, and that comes with the hurricane season. We have a lot of rainy season, and there is that concern, when it's coming to a hurricane season, water availability, how people prepare. And my question to you is there a link between rainy seasons or hurricanes and the rise in gastro or foodborne cases in Jamaica?
Yes, there is a link, but before that, I should point out that any extreme rain as such can carry with it a risk of diarrhea. Let us especially following the dry season.
Okay.
This is because the pathogens, these microorganisms, they're around. And so what happens when you have a heavy rainfall, the pathogens can easily get into the surface water.
Yeah.
So when they get into the surface water, we consume that. So you can have an increase in, depends on what the pathogens are, of course.
Yes.
You can actually have an increase in the diarrheal cases. Around the time of hurricanes and so on, we may have water lockups. So in that case, we have to be mindful of how we store our water.
Yeah.
How we, is the word, disinfect our water.
Sanitize. Yeah.
Yes, that's the word. Sanitize our water and so on, because if not, we're going to have a problem. We have a potential problem.
Yes,
and
that's true.
Some persons, they may think, okay, I just need to sanitize my drinking water. But in terms of even using ice cubes, you need, if you're going to do that, you need to use that water
Yes.
to make your ice cubes.
And I laughed because I always growing up, like even before I knew I was going to become a food safety ambassador, ice kill germs. That's always a thing.
Yes, we always hear that.
Germs.
My granny always said that.
Yes, and I think it's now is an opportune time for us to categorically say that no, ice don't kill germs.
They can live in that ice for a long time.
And you do have some pathogens who, that is a fun time for them. They're literally Eskimos. They enjoy
They love it.
And they thrive in the cold. So that is something that is so important. And you also mentioned the increase in runoff water from heavy rainfalls, and not only does it get into on our water tables, but it also gets on our crops, our agricultural crops, and all of these bacteria that's probably coming from effluent from animals, farm animals, or even humans. When your sewage overflows, it gets onto these crops. We don't really wash it as
good as
adequately as we should,
Mm-hmm.
and that is where the problem can, get into the household, and you have a whole family of persons suffering, and everybody, well, you assume it's gas.
Yeah,
and,
but and the next thing is that it's not just the water, the surface water, any body of water that is open. We need to ensure that we are sanitizing.
That's true.
Sanitizing the water.
And outside of ice, your water that you're using to wash your pots, wash your utensils that you're eating with, wipe off your counter, has to be clean, because it kind of defeats the purpose if you're really using dirty water to carry out those things. Now, earlier we mentioned some symptoms, diarrhea, vomiting, stomach cramps, they all feel the same. How does a doctor like yourself, Dr. Jackie, differentiate between something like viral gastroenteritis and bacterial food poisoning?
It comes down to detailed and proper history taking and examination, physical examination of the individual. Sometimes, though, because remember, some of these illnesses are quite short-lived.
Yeah.
So if it is that the person's symptoms are extending longer than normal and they're very severe, there are certain tests that can be done. You can do a stool test, PCR. I don't want to get too technical here. On the stool to check if it's a viral infection.
Yeah.
You could, for example, do other tests on the stool to determine if it's, say, a bacterial infection.
Okay.
So that is one way. But a detailed test in detail history is very important.
I agree with you. And I think culturally, besides overcooking, I think we have a huge culture on self-diagnosis.
Oh, yes, man.
Yeah, man. You don't
Yes.
need no doctor because you
It's just
already
gas.
know. Yeah, it's just gas. It's
Just
just
a little gas you
gas.
have.
Go drink little tea and
Yes.
you'll be good. Little ginger, little, yeah. So I think our culture of self-diagnosis, granted, the socioeconomic conditions for some persons may not, allow them that privilege of seeking that medical care. But I think it's pretty important because you do have cases, and I've seen cases of persons where, probably the consumption of ackee, you get ackee poisoning and they die. And I
Yes.
think that is just because the onset of the symptoms, the assumption is that you take long to eat, is probably gas, and they go to bed and they just don't wake up. So I think there has to be that balance between, striking, saying you can't afford to go to the doctor versus taking your health a bit more seriously and not taking it for granted.
It's not a question of sometimes can't afford to go to the doctor because we do have clinics.
Well, that's true.
Some people do not want to go to the doctor.
Because it's gas.
Because it's gas.
Self-diagnosis.
It's gas.
All right. So we touched on the gas or the bad belly that might, be masking a more serious issue. What can people do at home or when eating out to protect themselves from both conditions?
That's a good one, Alison. That is a good one. So if you're at home, let's just say you're at home, home, you need to be mindful of your environment at home. So you're preventing stuff.
Yeah.
Make sure you're washing your hands good and properly with soap and water.
Yeah.
You're cleaning down your surfaces properly. Wash your hands. Go back to washing hands. Wash your hands after you go to the toilet, because these little fecal elements, some people may say, this may sound a little gross, some people may say, but nothing went on my hands.
But them phone inside there,
But
soaking up all that.
All of these things, you flush your toilet, everything can just splash.
Yes,
You
yep.
might not see it, so
Yes.
we need to just be practical and practice good hygiene. We need to do that.
Agreed.
Just that is what we need to do. Again, what you spoke about, cooking food to the appropriate temperature.
Yeah.
Look here, when I'm roasting chicken at home, I actually use a thermometer, and I insert the thermometer.
A probe thermometer.
Into the chicken to ensure it's the right temperature, whatever it is. That is what I'm going to do.
And I know some persons, because I've said it before, like, oh, use a thermometer. I'm supposed to get money from to buy a thermometer.
Them cheap, Them really, really cheap.
And
the thermometer is cheap.
The good old response is that I've been doing this for so long. I'm not done doing me. What going to do me now? I get that all the time.
Yes, that is true. But you may just have that one time when you just, something happens.
Yeah.
So you can cook your food to the appropriate temperature. If, for example, you get rid of the perishable foods, smell the food. Yes, if it looks slimy or anything like that, if it's been in the fridge for 2 weeks and there's any mold in it, you have to throw it away.
That's true.
That sort of thing. When you're out eating, look at the environment. Look at, where you're eating. If it looks dirty, if the table looks dirty, if you see a whole heap of flies around the place, if the bathroom is dirty, if the staff looks dirty also, well, that is a big red flag.
I agree with
It's
you.
a big red flag there.
Yes. And, at what point? So, I'm home and I feel sick, I guess me have. And at what point should someone stop blaming something they ate and actually seek medical attention?
If you're feeling worse, you're supposed to be feeling better. As the days go by, you're supposed to be feeling better. If you're feeling worse, if you're quite dehydrated, and the signs of dehydration, let us look at children, for example. The eyes would be sunken.
Yeah.
The fontanelle, if you're little, the mole would be sunken.
Yeah.
If the child wearing diapers, they're not producing any urine, so the diaper would be dry.
Wow.
Adults, for example, may note that they're not passing urine as often as before, or the urine might be dark, adults too may have sunken eyes. So it's not because you're not never slept.
Yeah.
If the fever is high, if you have, for example, you start to vomit up blood, or
bile.
Yes, or yes, things like that, or the stool has blood in it. You have to chop to the doctor.
Yeah, you have to get to the doctor.
You have to do that.
All right. And my last question to you today is, are children and elderly more at risk? And what special precautions they can take? You mentioned, for kids, they have a weak immune system. So are they more at risk? And what special precautions can we take for them?
So children, elderly, those who pregnant persons and persons with compromised immune systems, they are at increased risk for the effects of the deleterious effects of gastroenteritis and food poisoning because of the dehydration. The dehydration can literally kill. That is the message that I want to say to people. The dehydration can actually kill you, make you very sick, or it can in some instances make you can kill you. And because these persons are at the extremes of ages and in terms of illnesses, the outcome of the illnesses, they are more susceptible to the effects of these
and least likely to recover as well.
Yes, yes, that's what.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Jackie.
Yeah, most welcome.
It's been such a insightful conversation.
Thanks.
We're gonna go for a quick break, and we'll be back with the Big Bite Food Safety Show.
Share in the experience at Fontana Pharmacy. We have a wide variety of items in store just for you. Fill your prescriptions while you shop. And senior citizens enjoy 10% off. Shop household, cosmetics, toys, and many other departments. We also offer curbside pickup and delivery. Visit our website at fontanapharmacy.com. Fontana Pharmacy, where it's all good inside.
Tune in to Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. as we broadcast live from Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. Beats and Brands Live is the ultimate celebration of music, creativity, and innovation. This exciting event is part of Intellectual Property Week and brings together the vibrant worlds of business and entertainment under the theme IP and Music, Feel the Beat. Expect a mini expo, live concert, giveaways, and the official opening ceremony, all for free. Vibe with artists, entrepreneurs, and industry insiders powered by Jaipo in partnership with Jaria and other creative powerhouses. Don't miss this fusion of culture, creativity, and commerce. It's where beats meet brands. So tune in to Cliff Views Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's the Beats and Brand Live at the Emancipation Park on Friday, April 25. All this and more only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. This broadcast is brought to you by the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office.
Welcome back to the Big Bite Food Safety Show. You just missed Dr. Jacqueline Campbell, medical practitioner. We had a discussion about, the difference between gastroenteritis or the stomach flu and foodborne illnesses. Our topic for today's show is it really gas or the meal that bit back? Now, before I move into the rest of today's show, I just wanted to acknowledge a few comments that came in via our YouTube live stream. I saw a happy birthday greeting from Basie, I think. Thank you so much, Basie. And news commentator J.A. says, Alison, when you're done with me, I'll be slim and trim the way I won't eat from anyone nor anywhere. And I don't know if I should take that as a compliment or I should be worried. But as I said, everything in moderation, as our great physician Paracelsus says. And news commentator J.A.L. said, Alison, I made my own baby food. My children didn't even drink formula. Too many baby food issues. And I do commend you for that. I know it's a lot of work, but I think the only way we can, be sure of what we're consuming is if we actually prepare it ourselves. So good going on that one. And News commentator J.A. says, I wonder if Alison can tell us if it's okay to blow in the tin of cheese to open it. Short answer, no. But that's another topic for another show. So make sure you tune in. Next week I'll address why it's not safe to blow into that can of cheese, as that video that's going around on social media. Now let's get back to the show, where I just want to reinforce or underscore some of the pointers that Dr. Jackie, shared with us in terms of, we spoke about the cultural practice of overcooking and how is it that, it has saved us, because we overcook. And I think, outside of it being cultural, it really does allow us to save ourselves from exposure to certain non-heat stable pathogens that could also cause harm to us. However, even though we are cooking, it is still important, because pathogens are not the only thing that can make us sick. You do have physical stuff, such as, I've reported on news about plastic being in our food, wood pieces, metal pieces. So we cannot rely solely on overcooking food. And, I also mentioned during the break, Kevin, the technical operator, him side-eye me, runny eggs. I'm not the only person. I do know that there are persons who do enjoy runny eggs. So these are things to consider. You want to make sure that you're getting the right temperature and that you're not putting yourselves at risk. So what can you do as a consumer to protect yourself and your loved ones from foodborne illnesses or gastroenteritis? First, let's talk about good food hygiene practices. Wash your hands properly before eating and after handling food. Ensure your food is properly cooked, especially your meat, your eggs, and seafood. You also want to make sure that you store your food at the correct temperature, especially leftovers, and also be cautious when eating from street vendors. Now, next week's show, we're talking all about street food chronicles. What is it that you're looking out for, when you're buying street food, and how to protect yourself? Ask them about food storage and preparation practices. And that pretty much sums up what my delivery to you today about, gas versus foodborne illnesses. Now, today's giveaway. We're going to be showing some love today with 2 phone credit prizes valued at 500 Jamaican dollars each. The first 2 listeners to drop the correct answers by calling in to our live studio lines at 876-630-9371 all the way up to 4. So it's 876-630-9371. The first 2 persons to call in with the answers to both questions will receive 500 Jamaican dollars telephone credit. Now, the first question. What is the recommended weight of fish to buy to reduce the risk of heavy metal exposure? This question should be very easy because Easter just gone, and I would hope that from my previous episode on seafood safety, you would have taken note of this. Dr. Lynette Peter spoke about it. What is the recommended weight of fish to buy to reduce the risk of heavy metal exposure? Now, and the second question is, can you name the accreditation and certification bodies in Jamaica that we had on our previous show? Can you name the accreditation and certification bodies in Jamaica that we covered on our previous Big Bite Food Safety show? Remember, the numbers you can call in is 876-630-9371 all the way up to 4. 876-630-9371. 2 questions. First question, what is the recommended weight of fish to buy to reduce the risk of heavy metal exposure? And can you name the accreditation and certification bodies in Jamaica that were covered on our previous show? Now, our fun food safety fact for today is that bacteria grows faster than you think. Bacteria can double in number every 20 minutes under the right conditions, which is why proper refrigeration is a must. Bacteria can double in number every 20 minutes under the right conditions, which is why proper refrigeration is a must. Well, that is it for today's episode. We've learned how to distinguish between foodborne. Oh, we have Natalie is a winner. Oh, she answered the fish question. What is the recommended weight of fish to buy to reduce the risk of heavy metal exposure? And Natalie's answer is correct. Fish not exceeding 2 pounds. So congratulations, Natalie. We'll contact you a bit later today to ensure that you have or you get your winnings, which is your 500 Jamaican dollars phone credit. Do we have anything for a second question? Alrighty, so let's keep talking about food safety and demand better systems for reporting our food safety outbreaks. Now, thank you for tuning in to the Big Bite Food Safety Show. Today, your go-to source for all things food safety. I hope today's episode has empowered you with valuable insights. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and remember, food safety is everybody's business. A huge thank you to the studio and production team, technical operator Kevin Williams, producer Tracy Lyle. Stay tuned for the entertainment block. And let's continue this discussion via my social media accounts on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, The Food Safety Girl. On WhatsApp, you could send me a message, 876-802-5114. See you next week. Bon appetit.
Revamp your space with unique living, sleek fixed and sliding shower panels, shower systems and faucets.